I gotta be honest, I think the thing I was looking forward to most about seeing this movie was so that I didn't have to see the trailer anymore. And maybe if you don't go to the movies a lot, it's not an issue for you, but I think I might have seen this trailer a couple dozen times. A Star is Born, starring Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper, and is also the directorial debut of Bradley Cooper. Now, this is a remake of several movies. I think one in the 30s, 50s, and 70s. I was vaguely familiar with the concept, but have never actually seen those movies, so I was going in fresh to this movie. And honestly, the more I think about it, the more I struggle with trying to express how I felt about it. The farther it's been since watching the movie, the more I think I enjoyed it. But while watching it, I don't know if I enjoyed it. So it got me thinking how I view movies, how I process movies, and this movie really challenged me to kind of think differently about it. I think for me and a lot of us, we view movies as either good or bad, and that's definitely the answer we give when we ask, how did you like it? Well, it was a good movie or it was a bad movie. We tried to rate them on a number system or a Rotten Tomatoes score, and I think movies are just so much more complex than that. I think it can be dangerous to sometimes oversimplify your thoughts on a movie. And if I've done that too much in the past, I apologize. I am going to try to do better moving forward. But all that to say, I enjoy this movie and I didn't care for it all at the same time. And I think that's okay. Okay, so let's just get down to it. Things I loved about this movie. First off, the acting was incredible. We already knew this coming from Bradley Cooper, but Lady Gaga gives a killer performance in this movie. Now, there's a lot of people throwing out the idea of Oscar talk for her. I don't know. If I'm being honest, I do think part of it comes from her being Lady Gaga and the shock of seeing her acting like this. I think if there was a well-known actress playing this role, it'd be like, wow, that was a solid performance. But because it's Lady Gaga, it's incredible, which I agree, I was blown away because it's Lady Gaga. But another part was the music, which was equally impressive. And in the opposite effect, we knew this about Lady Gaga, how she, in my opinion, is probably the best female pop artist of our generation. But seeing Bradley Cooper sing, it was equally impressive. And from what I know, he did sing all of his own parts and spent a lot of time preparing for that. And it worked out. The music is enjoyable, it's catchy, it'll get stuck in your head, and they are a great combination for on-screen chemistry. So I'm not going to go into spoilers of where the story goes, but from my understanding, it does follow the similar storyline that the other movies did play out. And obviously there's some differences, but I didn't know what the story was. And going into it, it was really powerful. What I found really impressive was as many times as I saw the trailer gives almost no details of the rest of the movie. Pretty much about 90% of what you see in the trailer happens within the first 15 minutes of the movie. And the movie's runtime is over 2 hours, so for that remaining time, you're seeing all this new footage that you did not see in the trailer. So if you're going in blind just based off the trailer and don't know what happened in the other movies, this movie may surprise you of where it goes. It's funny at times, it'll draw emotion through the music, it might make you cry in some very powerful scenes. But I think my biggest complaint with the movie is the lack of resolution with some of the character storylines. And it's very hard to go into without spoilers. But essentially, this is what I mean when I say the more I think about it, the more I think I enjoyed it. The moral of the movie is something that isn't written out in plain sight for you to see. It's kind of hinted at and left for interpretation, and when you walk out of the theater, you're gonna think like, no one grew, no characters, storylines were developed. It's almost as if the movie kind of ends on this climax and you're waiting for just more resolution to see what lesson did these characters learn. But the more that I process that, the more I think, why do I need that? Why do I want that? It did challenge me to try to find the moral just in the subtext. This is a movie that isn't going to make things very obvious, and not every character is seen in a positive light. But it's kind of beautiful in that way, because not all of life works like that. Not all things are resolved, and there are some storylines that just are messy. From a filming aspect though, I do think there were a couple other things that I personally just wasn't really thrilled about. So like I said, the movie is over 2 hours, but I honestly think they still rushed some things with that amount of time. Which sounds crazy, and I'm not saying they should make the movie longer, but There are even some parts where I think they cram too much into it. There's so much going on, there's so much story to tell that there are definitely parts that just seem to rush, and I wish they would have slowed the pace down a little bit. In trying to fit so much in, I think they lacked on developing some other minor characters, and even just giving these minor characters to have some room to breathe, to let us be attached to them, because really the only attachment you might find is to the two main characters, which again is the point of the movie. But I think by developing all these other side stories a little bit more and not cramming so much into the overall plot, it might have been a more fulfilling ending. And let me tell you, Bradley Cooper loves close-up shots. I don't think there was one widescreen shot in this whole movie, which isn't really necessarily a complaint, just an observation that he definitely has a style that he's going with. For his first movie that he directed though, this was pretty solid. Like I said, the music was incredible, and there are scenes that make you feel like you're actually at a concert, which is good because that's a major premise of this movie. So that's A Star is Born. Have you seen it? Did you like it? I would love to have more conversations about this. Maybe I'll do a spoiler video for it, just because there are so many things about this movie that I have been thinking about. Let me know what you think. Comment below, like, subscribe, do all of it, and I'll see you next time.